Yo, everybody. Sorry, 1 second here. I got some stuff I gotta do. I think Alec is muted in my call, but welcome back to the marathon.
I'm actually here.
All right, Alec is here. Can you speak one more time, Alec, so I can balance the audio? I think maybe I'm slightly loud. All right, I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we're good. We'll wait for Chubbas to yell at me.
I think you still have Chonkal as the runner.
I do. Don't you know I'm Chonkal? I wish I was as good as Chonkal. Let's fix this real quick.
Parlez-vous français?
Comme ça. Alright. I think everything is good. Turn myself down. Alright. Will do. Alright. 30%? That much, huh? How is Alec? How is Alec's volume, Chubbas? Is it good?
I'm speaking again, just so that you have another good comparison.
Sorry, okay, everything is good. Alright, we are good. We are here to watch me butcher Sonic 2 like I butchered Pac-Man 2. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a countdown. Alec, take it away. All you're going to hear me do is complain about how bad I am doing.
Alright, so obviously Sonic 2 introduces the spin dash, and what that does basically is it gives you a burst of speed, also puts you in the rolling state, which has some consequences. There's a nice visual cue to get that bounce sequence that he got there. It's pretty consistent, so we joke that if you don't get a 20, you have to turn in your speedrunner card. You just got a 21.
It's all yours, buddy.
Anyway, normally you do 6 taps to get maximum velocity, but there are cases, obviously, when you don't want full. There's also a frame-perfect release that gives you perfect velocity, and 1 frame before that you just do a little jump straight up in the air. We call it a straight jump. We hate it. So then 1 frame after that frame-perfect release, you get the speed that you're going to see most spin dashes be. So right here he's taking a slightly safer route. It's a little bit slower than the optimal route, but it's definitely a lot safer because you can just sit in Robotnik's hitbox here and he just dies because you're invincible. Done optimally, this will get you a 37 or a 38. You can even get a 36 if you do what we call the monkey bounce at the beginning, which is a frame-perfect jump that makes you take the top route and skip the loops. But only a couple of runners go for it. I go for it, HDL does. I don't know if Mike89 went for it at all. He might now if he picked the game back up.
The monkey jump.
Yeah. So, Chemplant 2, I mentioned the rolling state, and basically what it does is it locks your D-pad inputs after you jump. So right here, he's making sure not to roll because he wants to have the speed cap kick in there, which lines up that jump perfectly. Now what the speed cap is if you're holding a direction and going above a certain velocity in the air, then it'll slow you down to a specific speed value. That, like I said, just happens to line you up perfectly with that jump, and makes it a little bit trickier as Knuckles, obviously, because the speed cap isn't a thing when you lock on Sonic and Knuckles. Here he's manipulating Tails to be a specific distance away from Sonic, so that when Tails goes under that gate, it will open, and then he gets a path switcher. This is how loops work. There are 2 layers.
Oh, no!
getting greedy there.
I was.
Yeah. So, basically, it looks like he just had a little trouble spin dashing after the initial setup. And what this does is it skips about half the stage. With this, you can get as good as a 39. 40 is actually pretty common, but you almost got the good slope jump there. There are a couple frames where, I don't know, there are a few different frame windows there. And then accidentally, was that an intentional speed cap kick in?
Yeah, that was intentional, because I can't clear that gap without hitting the staircase in the water there.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky to get those jumps. You have to do some slope jumps early on to get more speed. If you jump on a down slope, you get more speed. If you jump on an up slope, you get more height. So you do that to increase your speed value, and then you do a couple of precise jumps and you can get through there. But it's a little bit tricky. Now, you see slopes. There's slopes all over here.
Oh no.
That makes Aquatic Ruin very inconsistent. It is often referred to as Aquatic Run Killer, partly for that reason, also partly because there are a couple precise jumps, one of them being this one. Nicely done.
Nope, I had no air control because I rolled.
Yeah, got the jump, at least. So if he had air control, he wouldn't have fallen back in the water and lost speed shoes. One of the quirks in the game is if you have the speed shoes in the water and then you jump out of the water, you lose the speed shoes. The other reason we often call this Aquatic Run Killer is because there's a very precise jump in the underwater section of the game. Let's see if he gets it.
I will be going for the medium here.
Okay, yeah. So you can maintain your full momentum if you jump to the full height and hit a pillar there, because basically hitting something when you do a spinning jump will put you. It kind of messes with the physics of drag, kind of resetting it, so your speed just stays high. Looks like he was just a little bit late on the last hit on Robotnik there. There's a frame-perfect kill you can get that will let you pan the camera over to the capsule a little bit earlier.
Exploding animals, right?
Yep. The sprite palette does not change, so the animals all look like little explosions. It's pretty silly. And the next really big run killer is this level. It is tricky. I wouldn't say it's super hard, but it punishes mistakes like pretty much no other. So this jump here in particular looks like he's playing it safe.
I didn't trust it, but
Yeah.
I messed up that jump. I almost swore again. Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. That jump in particular, you have to do a rather precise height because Sonic's full jump.
What am I gonna do here?
Yeah, spin dash, jump, and if you're... Yeah, okay. You got one of the 2 backups that you want there. So, an ideal time will be 27 or 28. But if things start to go wrong, it can easily be worse than this. It can be in the 50s. So...
And that was not good. I mean, don't let him say it's not bad. That was terrible. But...
I wouldn't have been happy with it either, but just be aware that it can be worse. So Casino Night 2, fortunately, is much friendlier stage than Casino Night 1. There's still a bit of tricky stuff in it, but it's less punishing if you mess up, at least. And that nice little jump there consistently gets you in the little spring thingy, whatever. I don't go for it because it's slightly slower, and I've never made a habit of doing it.
I think I released early there.
Yeah, released slightly early. It's possible to clip between the two flippers there, which is ever so slightly faster. Right here, the Robotnik's first hit that he takes, the iframes are exceptionally long for whatever reason. So he played it safe there and just did a bounce off the thing in the middle to set up a juggle for the rest of the hits. 103 is not a bad time. And there's a slightly faster method that you can do with spin dashing up into the boss, but if you mess up the timing for that, you're likely to lose time. I have an audio cue for it, but that strat is not a bad idea to do in a marathon. Now, if you recall all the level wraps in Sonic 1, this is not going to be a level wrap, but it is going to use the main mechanic for starting level wraps, which is a zip. What he's going to do here is he's going to fall off the platform, get hit, use the iframes so that the platform carries him down through the floor. He missed the zip, but he actually was able to get on the platform anyway. You can zip over to about where that one spring is that bounced him up. And then I was just taking a D-boost through the lava in the earthquake area to get to the end.
It's not a bad time. That stage can go terribly, terribly wrong. It really can.
Yeah. And...
Oh.
Okay, yeah. So he went for a rather precise slope jump at the start there. If you are particularly fast in this stage, you can get a really fast cycle, and in this earthquake section that's coming up here. And that one requires you to be in... Oh, you could have done a bounce off that guy's head if you
yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That's annoying.
Yeah, so if you get into that area as the timer is, I believe it's before 17 or just as it ticks over to 17, you can get a good platform cycle here without having to wait. Otherwise, what usually happens is you get what I call the normal cycle or the half-early cycle. Obviously, some other shenanigans happen, so he's a little bit behind there, but it happens. Then,
there's some other... not a good run.
There are some other minor optimizations you can get throughout here. But then rolling or jumping onto Robotnik, rolling is very consistent. Jumping can be slightly faster, but you do have to kind of control Sonic's bouncing, or else you won't be able to do that. So I just stick with rolling.
That is a terrible, terrible time.
Yeah, my best times are under a minute. I've got it down to, I think, a 55 or a 56 without an IO only strat. Then we get Mystic Cave, which, generally speaking, is pretty forgiving, but it's also got enough varied tech and movement that I really like. If I had to pick a favorite stage to speedrun in this game, it would probably be Mystic Cave 1. Mystic Cave 2 is fun, too. They're just... they're not very punishing. They're simple, fun. They have that nice little trick there. I don't know, I just like it. Good music, too.
I could have made that, but you know what? After a chemical plant, I'm a little shy.
Yeah. You can actually even spin dash off of those, and that's the optimal strat. But obviously that's a little bit risky. If you get a straight jump there, you're just dead.
Right.
You're not making it out of there in time.
No, and if you're going to straight jump somewhere, that would be the place to do it.
I've done that before. I've done that on PB Pace. That platform there, Knuckles can't jump to, so he does a damage boost. That's one of only a couple damage boosts in the classic Genesis trilogy. So it's just kind of a cool thing about Misty Cave 2. Getting to the boss at about 30 seconds is not bad. So this was one of the better stages I've run so far. And then we've got a magic pixel there, which is safe. And there are a few different stalactite patterns, but he got one that's friendly for that position.
Yeah, that RNG there was not bad at all. I mean, a 44 isn't a great time, but you know what? It's not gonna be a run killer by any means. I think I'm settling down now a little bit here, hopefully.
Just in time for a stage when you kind of need to be settled. Oil Ocean 1 has killed more runs for me than I care to admit, because you just do these risky strats going under the oil. That one's pretty consistent, but later on, if you mess up a spin dash, if you mess up the manipulation for the oil's sinking, then there's a very high chance you can just die. And there's also an aggressive strat there where you can go underneath that platform as well in just that one spin dash. It's rather precise, and if you miss it, you're probably going to die. Got past the fan though. That's actually one of the more important things. The fan there, if it stops you, will stop you for a good 4 seconds, and it's really annoying.
4 seconds if you're already like locked into the upper path. If you're not, it can cost you another second to jump back up.
Yeah. So this stage has multiple glitches. This first one is really easy to trigger. You just hold right coming out of there, and then you jump out of that. And now he is in what we call the pseudo-supersonic state. So he has really high jumps and really crazy speed, and the game doesn't quite know how to handle that. So he doesn't interact with the slope right, gets shunted into the wall, and then just presses and holds right. The way he hit the press thing that bounced him up into the wall is it aligns your subpixels perfectly every time, so that level wrap is basically free. He tried for a relatively new strat there to get an easier chance at the one cycle, but it's still rather precise, so he only got 7 hits. Fortunately, in a way, he didn't get that last hit, because if he had been a couple frames earlier, a frame-perfect boss kill here will actually hard lock the game.
That's what I was scared of, so I pulled out of that immediately. I'm like, this is bad.
Yeah, it's something that has happened to me in races.
Oh my!
Actually, in the Sonic Speed R races on the Sonic Speed channel, when we did the Sonic 2 race, I was on PB pace going into Oil Ocean 2, and then I got the hard lock on the boss. That was not fun. But
I don't think this could be any sloppier, really.
Metropolis is probably the most technical series of stages if you do them without glitches. And then there's one minor glitch in Act 1, much more significant glitches in Act 2 and 3.
So I did a little practice for Act 3 before this when I had a chance, and it was not going well. It was a mix of me not being able to pause on the right frame, as well as Tails just, being Tails.
Yeah, that happens.
What is going on?
I'll talk about it. So what he's doing here is a screen wrap. So he's abusing the fact that this stage wraps vertically, and using that to get Sonic off camera. The game then sends the camera shooting down, which despawns sprites. That allows him to get into the area of the nut, clip, and then use it to clip through the floor. He used a safe method there. There's also a risky method, but if you miss a couple frame jump, then you get crushed, die, and get sent back to the beginning of the stage because you didn't hit any star posts. Metropolis 2 is probably the second easiest level wrap in this game.
If it doesn't eat my jump.
Yeah, the hard part is not the level wrap itself. It's actually getting to the place where you do the level wrap.
Come on.
So what he's doing here is he's trying to get crushed by these pistons he can try it again.
This is so
That
bad.
can also be tricky. I've done this too. I have done this too.
Man.
So what he's going to do, obviously, he's using the same trick that he used in Hilltop to use iframes and a platform to carry him underneath the lava, and then he's getting in a position here, and there are two methods you can do there. You can either basically align yourself on make it so you fall on a specific point on the spikes that will give you some pixels that will work, or you can release the D-pad with I believe it's two-frame windows in this one as well, same as in Metro 3. But
Yeah, that first step didn't happen. That was a 17. Good time. Let's move on.
Yeah, you expect a 16 or a 17. Now this one, he's killing that enemy because it's in the way. Now he's manipulating Tails to walk off here. Nice! First try. Hell yeah, dude.
Best part of the run.
Very much so. That is a huge run killer, that level wrap is. You have to get Tails to walk off. Sonic has to be on about a pixel and a half precise positioning so that he's in the correct position to start a zip. You have like a 3-frame window, but 1 or 2 of those frames don't always work. And there's another window elsewhere. It's a little bit complicated. Then once you get the zip, you have 2-frame windows to release the D-pad in order to get the level wrap. Otherwise, you only get the zip. So getting that first try is really nice. Boss fight was not ideal.
No, it wasn't.
That's,
But dude,
that's
55
also
is fine.
Yeah, there are a couple different methods. There's the old method, which is basically just doing it in 3 cycles. You get 3 hits, and then you finish them off with 2 hits. And then there's a new one that I haven't learned yet, but I'm going to have to when I get back to this game, where you basically are killing the orbs in such a way that Robotnik just keeps staying low, and you're able to kill him really fast.
Summer Hayes found that one, right?
I believe so, yes. He found the manipulation for it. I knew that was a thing that could happen for a while, but I didn't know how. And I guess enjoy the music, people, because we have a 2-minute, 6-second auto-scroller.
Best part of the run. This is the stage here where you get to reflect on the potential choke that arises in the next 2 levels.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, you talk about Aquatic Ruin being a run killer. That's mostly perfectionism, honestly, because you won't lose more than a few seconds in either stage. Casino Night, obviously, Act 1 can go very poorly. But then you get into Oil Ocean, and this is the only non-run killing level from that point on, pretty much. Because in Act 1 of Oil Ocean, you can die pretty easily. Act 2, you can get the hard lock, you can mess up the 1 cycle. There are a couple other things that can happen if you mess something up going into level wrap setup. He's making sure not to do too many taps on his spin dashes here, or else he'll just fall off. We call that an Aragig now because of a certain beloved member of the community who did that on a casual playthrough.
I can't see chat right now, but I bet Brad is somewhere saying something about dying on Sky Chase and how he wants to see it.
If I was doing this run, I'm pretty much always tempted to just do that as the first thing, just for lulz.
Only if I had that idea sooner, I would have, just to make everybody happy. Although in this version of Sonic 2 on the Sonic Classics Genesis cart, you can't actually fall off the plane. I was doing 6 taps there, and the reason why I use this cart is up here in Wing Fortress. It's definitely the optimal version to use.
I don't even know what the difference is for this and Wing Fortress. What does it do?
It basically lets you skip these platforms here if I do it right. If I don't do it right, I die.
Oh! It gives you slope glitch there.
Yes, it gives you a free slope glitch when those disappear, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, so I lost a run that was like probably not as good a pace as my current PB, but I definitely lost a run to those platforms because I didn't get a good spin dash off of it. So what he did there on the little zipper.
All right.
So he activated slope glitch again on that little zipper, and then he got the boss to load in a certain memory position. And for whatever reason, that allows you to spin dash inside its hitbox. You saw the explosion was animals there. That's kind of an artifact that gets created, and it can carry over into Death Egg if you get the silver Sonic boss kill on a certain frame. Sonic's trying to look up while balancing there. That sprite is the result. And you also see black flames. That's a matter of entering the boss area quickly. So the memory, the black flames aren't necessary, but the correct memory address for the boss loading is necessary for the slope glitch kill, because otherwise you have to try to get out of the wall or kill yourself. There really is no other option.
Alright, so Death Egg. This game and this final boss is not very friendly to runners and marathons. Not at all.
So it took 3 total attempts in like 3 total runs by Mike89 and Worcester, plus 1 more by me before J-Matt and I got a Deathless 1 at SDDQ 15. Also, Silver
what?
Sonic.
What happened there?
So what happened there was you went 1 pixel too far left and you interacted with his spikes.
I was trying for the hard lock anyway, so you know.
Yeah, so frame perfect boss kill here will soft lock the game. Basically kill him as he's changing states. And 1 frame before or after that, I believe, is how you can continue the animal explosions. And then it's kind of awesome because Death Egg explodes into animals. Now he's having to avoid foot hitboxes, the flame hitbox, and the arm hitbox. That was very well played.
That was very well close.
It's a lot trickier than it looks. So getting 9 hits and then 3 is perfectly acceptable. You can also get a 10-2 or the legendary 12-0, which is incredibly difficult.
I forgot to stop the timer, but you know, that's my time, so.
Underestimate.
Yeah, it was underestimate, just barely. Just barely, but yeah, Metropolis 3 sure as hell saved that run. I was very unhappy with that until that level happened. But Alec, you will be back, correct?
I will be back. There's Sonic 2 Sega Master System version, so the 8-bit Sonic 2, which I believe, like Sonic 1 Master System and Game Gear, came out after the Genesis version. Go figure. But that's up next. That's a fun one, actually, so stick around. And then after that, I will be back with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is a broken mess.
Alright, so y'all seen who ran this game. Now I gotta switch over to the setup. So give me a second here, we'll get the next game set up, and we'll be back.